So I'm really excited to bring on my next guest today. It's actually 4 years ago since I interviewed you, Nick. I'm not sure if you remember, but it was in the Plymouth Pavilions, and you were educating me
Okay.
on stuff that I had no idea about in the 80s, such as cassette players. So it was quite an
Yeah,
educational interview.
cassettes are back.
How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thanks. Yeah,
Well, you're
really
back with a
well.
brand new album after an 8 year break, and the album is absolutely incredible. So, first of all, I just want to talk about what kind of reaction you've had to the album, and are you happy with the feedback you've had?
Yeah, it's all been very positive. It's difficult when you've been working on something for so long, and then suddenly, you're letting it out there into the general public, and just waiting to see what happens. And all the feedback's been really positive. Yeah.
And with this album, I mean, because listening to some of your previous stuff, it feels very personal. So, would you say this album, compared to your other albums, you put a lot more of your personal emotions and your feelings into this one?
Yeah, that's kind of been happening gradually over the years, I think, because originally back in the day, I was desperate not to write about myself in case people found out I was a fraud, imposter syndrome, I think. And then gradually realised it's actually much easier to write a song about things that you know and personal experience. So it's all about just life and general things, getting older, um, uh, just love, just politics, whatever took my fancy.
And during the lockdown period, obviously with this virus,
Hello,
hello, can you hear me? Can you hear
I
me,
can
Nick?
now. Yeah, it did
Perfect.
froze for a bit there. I can
Um,
hear you.
so
Yeah.
with during this pandemic, is that giving you more time to actually write music and spend more time putting pen to paper?
I started with the best intentions when I thought, well, it's lockdown. I can't go anywhere. I can't play gigs. I can't do anything. So let's sit down and start something new because the re-album was finished back in January. But then homeschool happened, and I've got a 10-year-old, and he's not a very cooperative one at that. So that took a load of time, but I did learn a lot about Vikings, which is good. But yeah, and then there were lawns to be mowed and dogs to be walked, I haven't been that creative in this period. I have to say, I kind of treated it a little bit as an enforced vacation.
Well, you've definitely made up for it with the album that you've just put out. And one thing I did want to talk to you about, you are known as a great songwriter, and I've always been fascinated when it comes to you writing a track. When you have to give it over to the artist that you've written it for, has there ever been times where you've kind of been a bit, you didn't want to hand it over because you think you could release it yourself? Has there ever been times like that for you?
Not a whole song. No, that's never happened. There've probably been a few occasions where I might have been sitting writing with somebody or writing a song for another project, and something comes into my head and I'd just go, well, that sounds like me. That sounds like one of
Yeah.
my things.
Can you hear us? And then we've lost you there.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Ah, perfect. Um,
Okay.
Yeah, because obviously you write in a lot of some people who don't know who's listening to this. You did write Chesney Hawk's song "The One and Only," and it went straight to the top of the chart. So when you wrote that track, was there never a time when you thought, "Do you know what, this is me. I should be putting that out," or did that not come into it?
No, it never came into it because I'd already made the decision not to record anymore back in 1989. I was just going to write and produce for other people, so that was pretty much the first one out of the can. And no, I never did, and I never regretted it, obviously, because it was a massive fit for Chesney.
Yeah. And one person that I love, I think he's an exceptional songwriter and even better singer, is Elton John. Now, that's someone that you've worked with in the past. So what was he like to work with?
He was amazing. I worked with him twice, I guess. I played guitar on Nikita, and it was just in complete honor and quite nerve-wracking, just sitting in a studio playing, along with him, playing the rhythm tracks for those songs. And also, I did a duet a duet with him on his duets album, and ended up being on the other side of the glass producing him. So and that was quite intimidating, but only in my own mind, because he was an absolute sweetheart and a consummate professional, and it was absolutely no problem at all.
And of course, the album that you've got out now, you worked in Abbey Road Studios. Now, for someone like yourself, who is such a passionate musician, not only just a singer, but playing music, writing music, that must be such an experience to be able to record there. Just the whole feel of the place.
Yeah, it's a special place. There's no doubt about it. I mean, the whole place is steeped with history. I mean, you walk down a corridor and there's a pile of old electronic junk in the corner, and you go, "What's that?" And they say, "Oh, that's the mixing desk that they mixed Sergeant Pepper on." It's like,
that's incredible.
Okay, that's just sitting in the corner there. And there's just the vibe, the whole. I mean, there's 3 big studios and other production suites there and stuff like that, mixing suites, and the cafe is like a central hub, and there's a real creative energy in the whole place. It really is special, and plus the fact the people that work there are the best in the world, and it was just a privilege to be back there, and also the scene of one of my previous crimes, because that Studio 3 was where we recorded The One and Only as well, so it was just great to be back.
A good bit of nostalgia for you then, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely,
definitely. So earlier on we put a post out to say that you were going to join us on the show, and if any of your fans wanted to get in touch with some questions for you, and we've had loads. So for 5 minutes, I'll give you some of your fans' questions, because we've got some really great ones. So we've got Zoe Head, who said, I would guess most of us would like to know if there are any plans for you to do a live stream of the new album. And she said she'd rather see it live, but a stream would be the next best thing, and she's seen other people do it, and she's loved it. Also, she loves you, but in a very purely sensible and admirational way.
Thanks, Zoe. There are no specific plans to do a stream of the album, not really. There's a possibility. I'm not going to go any further than that, but possibly. But I might be doing a short streaming thing in a few weeks' time, which may well include maybe 2 or 3 of the new songs on it. But I'll keep you posted with that one. But no specific plans. I mean, originally, obviously, we would have loved to have taken it out on tour, but hopefully, if we can all get back to gigging next year, and maybe if the timing feels right, we'll take a few shows out with this album in mind.
And another question is now from Michael Saunders, who said, is Nik proud to have his name mentioned in some of the best British comedy series ever? For example, in 1986 Christmas special of Only Fools and Horses, when Rodney replies that he got a Nik Kershaw LP. Were you aware that your name was mentioned in Only Fools and Horses?
I'd forgotten that one. That truly is a privilege. But I know, and Ricky Gervais keeps giving me a mention. I was in The Office at one point, and in extras as well, I think. So yeah, it's good. It's great. It's really lovely to have those things happen.
We've also got one from Selena Mary Longworth, who said, can you simply tell him thank you? His music has really gotten me through the good and the bad. And does he know he has a fan base, including many that weren't even around or aware of the 80s? She was born in 82, and all of her kids like your music, and also like Black Lace as well. So that's from Selena. And then John Malin said, will you ever write an autobiography?
No, I did try my hand at writing a few years back. A friend of mine had a kids publishing company and a kids book for kids books, and I did do some writing for that, and that's quite a discipline, sitting down and writing a few 100,000 a day. I can't think of anything I'd say in it. I mean, but basically, you don't want to tell the absolute truth, because I'm gonna annoy a lot of people. So you don't want to do that. So if I can't tell the absolute truth, I'm gonna not say anything at all. I think it's the best bet.
Yeah. We've also got one from Corin Davis, who said, would Nick do a YouTube video with step-by-step guide on how to create Cloak and Dagger and Dancing Girls? How awesome would that be?
If I could remember how I did create those, that would be a good thing. But yes, it really, because it was such a long time ago, it's difficult to remember where my head was at when I was doing those things. But yeah, so again, the answer is no, because I wouldn't be able to do it justice. But yeah, it's, what can I?
I think we lost you there. Are you still with us?
Yeah.
Ah, you're there. Perfect.
I'm still with you.
Yeah. So the next question is
okay.
From
So
Paco...
where did you lose me?
So we can hear you now. And the next question is from Pablo Sanchez, who say artists always say this album is the best I've ever done. But he would really like to know how he thinks your new album differs from the previous albums in the 80s.
It's the best I've ever done. I don't know. I think you get older, you do things differently, you learn, hopefully you learn a lot of things over the years that you can put into a new recording. So I hope there's more experience here, a little less naive perhaps, and I think my lyrics have certainly got a lot better over the years. So I think it's just another stage forward, really, just another part of the process of growing up and getting better at things, really.
I mean, this next question is from Peter Freeth, and it's not a normal question that you have when someone's just put out an album, but he said, when can we expect the next album? He's obviously loved it so much, he's ready for more.
Well, I hope it's not another 8 years, to put it that way, because yeah, that was too long. But yeah, I don't know. It could maybe I'll have a little burst of creative energy, and it will be next year, or maybe I won't, and it will be another 10 years. So sometime within those two periods, probably.
Just a few more that we've got. One is from Pascal, who says, "Do you have any plans to actually do like a music video with some of your new singles?"
I did. Well, I shot one in lockdown, which wasn't one of the singles, but it was a song called "The Wind Will Blow." And that was basically just me with a camera that I bought in my cellar. Yeah, it's just getting together the whole production people and the money to do it, and the time and energy to do it. When singles are so kind of fleeting nowadays, they're just you just pick a couple of songs and then take them to radio and see what happens. So it's all a bit of a shot in the dark. So no, there's no specific plans to do any shooting. It would have been a lot easier had there not been, lockdown, obviously.
And then we've got George. It's his birthday today, and he says, a simple thank you for sharing your music and thoughts with us and inspiring us every day. He may never truly know the impact he's had on some of us over the years, and I for one am grateful. It's my birthday today, and his music is the best gift ever.
Oh, thanks. That's really sweet. And happy birthday.
He'll love that. And just a couple more just before we go here. We've got Anastasia Ozarova, who says, what, according to you, is the best part of a live gig? And is there a moment which touches you at every gig? If so, what is that moment?
Do you know what? It can happen at any point in a set. I mean, obviously, it's nice to get the first few songs out of the way, because I get very nervous. But just the end of a chorus, end of the gig is always great, because you got that sense of achievement, and especially if you've had a good gig, and that's wonderful. But at any point in a gig, you can just have one of those magical moments where you're on stage and you've just completely connected with the audience, and that's fantastic.
Well, John Roberts says, if you could collaborate with any artist, what would it be? And I think that's a brilliant question.
Well, it is. Unfortunately, the people that I most admire probably don't need my help, so it's probably not gonna happen. But I would love to just sat in a room with David Bowie and just to get some of his energy, and see what how he did things and how he wrote songs and how he put things together. That would have been fantastic.
And Linda Jennings said, what was it like being part of Live Aid?
Yeah, that was what, again, in retrospect, an incredible privilege to have been in that right place at the right time. But it was incredibly exciting. In fact, it was almost like a microcosm of my whole career, really. Back then, it was incredibly exciting, but also utterly terrifying.
And it's one of those things. I wonder if people that took part in Live Aid ever realised it would be as legendary as it is now. Because when you look at films like Bohemian Rhapsody, where they feature the recreation of Live Aid, it's incredible just to even see it on that. And I mean, I wasn't even born then, but to hear the crowd and the reaction. So for you to be there must have just be, looking back now, must be incredible.
Yeah, and I have to say, my eldest daughter took me along to see Bohemian Rhapsody, and those scenes of Live Aid with recreating the old Wembley Stadium, they put shivers up my spine again, because they really were well done, and they did kind of capture how it was. And I think we all knew at the time that it was pretty special what was happening, and that people were going to remember that.
And then the next one now is actually someone has just today has she's called Kate. She's a massive fan of yours, and she's actually drew a little portrait. Now I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it on my phone. I'll try and show you, but if not, I'll send it over. But it's actually very good.
Oh, there you go. That's me. Excellent work.
And that's from Kate.
Very cool. Thank you.
So thank you so much for answering your fans' questions. They're going to love that. There was loads more, but we'll maybe get on to them another time. But Nick, the album's absolutely incredible. And for me, you know, I wasn't, like I said to you before, I wasn't even alive in the 80s, but your music is so catchy. And I think a lot of it is, like you said, the lyrics are so deep and meaningful. And for me, listening to music, I love to be able to connect to a lyric or a beat and a rhythm. And you've got that on this album in abundance. So great work on this. It really is a masterpiece.
Well, thanks, Lewis. I really appreciate it.
And hopefully I'm a bit more knowledgeable now since the last time I interviewed you, and I had no idea to so many of the references, and you were just educating me on every single question. So thank you very much.
Cheers, Lewis. Thank you.